Friends, nutritional benefits of the food is well known. It nourishes our body. It gives us vitamins, minerals, and various nutrients. Fiber is also one of the critical component of a food item, but it is not basically nutrient. On the other hand, it is an anti-nutrient. Why it is called anti-nutrient? Because it has the ability to reduce absorption of the food, and it also reduces the digestion of food. So it basically reduces both absorption of the food as well as the digestion of the food. So it has its own advantage. Fiber is something which does not add, but it subtracts. Especially in case of sugars and insulin, because it reduces the absorption of the carbohydrate. So that is why the reduction of blood glucose and insulin level is also facilitated. Friends, a study was carried out among the diabetic patients. The two groups were made. One group was kept on the standardized liquid diet, and the second group was given standardized liquid diet plus fiber, additional fibers to it. And it was surprisingly found that the second group, they were found to be having a reduction both in glucose as well as in insulin peak, despite the fact that the two groups were given the same amount of carbohydrates and calories. So it is well known and it is well established that the insulin is the main driver of obesity and diabetes. Insulin is something which leads to obesity as well as diabetes also. So fiber is acting as a sort of antidote to the carbohydrate and sugar. And it is no coincidence that virtually all plant food in their natural and unrefined state, they contain fiber. You see all fruits, all vegetables, all wholesome food, they contain plenty of fibers in it. Mother Nature has already pre-packaged our food in such a way that it contains a lot of fibers in it. And fiber, as you know, it's an antidote. It is an antidote to carbohydrates. Starting only, I told that the fiber is basically, it reduces the absorption of carbohydrates and sugar. So if the absorption of the sugar and carbohydrate is reduced, definitely it puts a check on the spike in glucose and spike in insulin also. Traditional societies, they used to have unrefined, unprocessed food, including fruits and vegetables and wholesome grains. So they were naturally, it was naturally resulting in high fiber intake. So one critical difference between the traditional societies and the modern westernized societies is that the traditional societies are consuming unrefined and unprocessed food items, which automatically results in high intake of fiber intake. Whereas the Western diets, it is basically contains high amount of processed foods. Actually, defining feature is not that it's not that the amount of fat, salt, or carbohydrate, protein. It's a high amount of processed foods. Consider the Indian traditional market nowadays. It is full of fresh food, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and many people in the Indian and Asian culture buy fresh food items daily, so that there is no need of processing it, and there is no need of storing it also. By contrast, the Western supermarkets, and even in the Indian big cities and even cities also, there are Indian supermarkets where a lot of processed and refined and processed frozen foods are sold. So people are purchasing these items and keeping it in their refrigerator, and it is being kept for months together, weeks and months together. So basically, the processed food or frozen food, they contain a lot of carbohydrates, which has been refined and processed. So what happens actually when we take these processed frozen food items? It basically what happened that it contains maximum carbohydrates in it, because fiber and fat, the key ingredients, has been removed in the refining process, in the processing. What happens actually, the fiber basically when the fiber is removed from the carbohydrates, what happens, the textures is changed for the better, and it makes the food taste slightly better, and natural fats is removed to extend its shelf life. So you have seen that all these processed carbohydrates, processed and refined carbohydrates, and refined sugary items, they are basically having a lot of shelf life, and that is one of the reasons why these things are being refined, and they are being processed. So but what is happening actually in the process, we are consuming more and more carbohydrates and more sugar, refined sugar. So we are ingesting, we are consuming poison basically, that too without any antidote, and antidote is nothing but fiber. So in this refining process, in this processing, the protective effects of the fiber is already removed from our food. So Mother Nature has given us with lot of protection. It is wiser than most of us. It has already provided antidote. It has already provided us with the anti-nutrient which slows down the absorption of the carbohydrates and delays the digestion. In the process, the lesser amount of carbohydrates and lesser amount of sugar is absorbed in our bloodstream. Therefore, the glucose level is low and resulting in low insulin. Low insulin means less obesity. So, because of the more fiber in our diet, the insulin production is lesser, and glucose peak, both peaks are reduced. So this is good for obesity, for controlling obesity as well as the diabetes. So add this food items which contains a lot of fibers. Maybe it is whole grain cereals, pulses, whole grain, wholesome fruits and vegetables, whatever. You can add this into lavishly in your food, and reduce the consumption of refined carbohydrates and refined sugar. So if you consume more and more fiber in your diet, it will act as a nutrient or antidote to the poison of sugar and insulin which is being developed in your body. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much.